we're going to discuss why most people don't make it financially and why that. Again, most of people, in order to learn what to do, they need to understand what not to do. And this, unfortunately, is not the way the American education system works. However, we're going to discover today that 95% of Americans struggle financially, and up to 95% are not able to be financially free by the time they retire. In the country of all possibilities, right, in the United States. We'll also realize how real estate stepped up against other investment strategy. And we are going to also learn how understanding statistics is the secret weapon to building wealth. Now, the 4 biggest expenses in our lifetime are how real estate can help you offset them and even eliminate most of them. Now, last but not least today will be how house hacking and smart real estate investing turns ordinary people into millionaires. So by the end of this video, you'll see not just why real estate isn't just a strategy, but it's also a life-changing wealth system. So we are going to start with understanding why most people struggle financially. Well, it starts with a simple question. What are your money management skills? We all know that we don't learn money management in school. This is something new. It's getting started in some schools. However, most of us we've never learned that, right? We get to drive by the age of 15, 16, but however, we don't know how to get a car loan, how to compare interest rates. At 18, we're expected to start college, to take student loans, and again, we do not understand the effect of them, the compound interest, and how to compare those loans. And that impacts us usually for the rest of our life. So today, again, we want to understand what decisions to make, how our money management can be offset by real estate investment, because real estate investment helps us save money despite ourselves, right? Despite us not being great money management. And as Winston Churchill said, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. We're going to also look at statistics, because this is something that will help us see where things truly stand in the world of money. Now, we're going to also look at the economic reality of this country and of us. Today, the US total gross federal debt is over 36 trillion. Now, I hope you understood the word trillion with T. A million has 6 zeros. A billion has 9 zeros. A trillion has 12 zeros, meaning 8 trillion is a million millions. So we're talking about US gross federal debt. It's over 36 million millions. This is what is getting interesting. The private debt, the personal debt, our debt is also over 28.7 trillion. So we can see right here that neither the government nor us know how to manage our money. And what is worse, today in 2025, the debt to GDP ratio is one of the highest since the Second World War. It's 127%. You might be asking yourself, what does that mean? And what does it have to do with real estate? Well, 127% means the government spends 27% more money than the country produces, than goods produces. And that shows us how bad money manager they are. And if you've ever heard of social security crisis and other crises, we have to wonder how we're going to do when we retire. Now, we're going to look at more statistics. I do love this statistic since I've seen it first 25 years ago. Now, out of 100 people that retired at age 65, so after working 40, 45 years, now imagine 100 people starting equal, all having hopes and dreams, all wanting to be successful, all wanting to, do well for their family. By the age of 64, 54% are still dependent. So the red part of the chart represents the people that cannot afford to retire on their own and they get help. So if you're asking yourself, who's going to help them? Well, the government, their families, nonprofits, and so forth. So more than half of the country, by the time they have retirement, cannot afford to retire. Then the next part, the yellow part, is the people that continue working. So you're going to ask, well, isn't government going to help them too with their families? Well, these people either don't have the families that have the financial whereabouts or no family at all, or they don't qualify for the government support. And they have to keep working to sustain themselves. 5% are deceased. We're not talking about them today. And only 5% are financially well enough to retire comfortably. 4%, 4 out of 100 people are okay, meaning they have a net worth of between 1 and 5 million. And one out of 100 people will have a net worth of over 5 million. You'll notice that my slide is from 2011, which means that these amounts have slightly changed. We know how much inflation we've got just in the last 5 years. So truly, for somebody that's in the 20s, 30s, 40s, a million probably won't cut it. They will probably need 2.5, 3 million because the inflation, of course, continues. So you may ask yourself the way I asked myself when I saw this 25 years ago, how is that possible? How could 95% of people, be in such a financial distress, and how come we don't know? Well, we do. Look at all the senior housing, look at all the government, all the people that are supported by the government, by the Medicare, by the Medicaid, by all these programs that we think they are just owed to us. Well, it's not. Social Security was supposed to cover only a third of what we need when we retire, and more than 60% of the population depend on them. It's pretty much their sole income to retire, a third they need. So now, if we understand this, we have to ask ourselves how we make sure we are not there, how we make why most people fail, first of all, and how do we make sure we don't end up there? The simple path, the financial security, the one that you're going to find, you listen to Dave Ramsey or any book you read, any time you Google and you ask what are the steps to become financial secure, there are going to be 4 steps. And number one thing starts with spend less than what you earn. Pretty simple, right? Not really. We just heard that even the government spends 27% more than what they earn. Next, eliminate bad debt completely. What do I mean by that? Well, credit card, high interest debt. So eliminating, it means less monthly payment, more money left to invest to secure our future. Avoid taking new debt. So, don't change your car every 5 years, right? Keep the car paid off, give it until it dies, and save that money to invest in something else. That's one example. And still, there is one debt that is good. And you're going to ask yourself, really? That is good debt? Yes. Debt on something that makes you money, that pays for the monthly payment and makes you money. As an example, real estate investment. And then the 4th point is invest the surplus, right? Whatever you are left after paying your bills, if you don't spend it all, in assets that grow your wealth. And these are mostly real estate, and we're advised to invest in stock and crypto. This is newly, I think about 20% of the country right now invest in crypto, and most of the people will keep their money invested in CDs and saving accounts. So pretty much the formula that we are told online, not in schools, and what our parents tell us is stay disciplined, stay consistent, spend less, save more, invest the money, right? Well, let's see how these investments stack against each other, right? Because we want to understand where we're going to invest our money. We want to be good money manager. We already know that 95% of people are not. Or, they know certain things, but not enough to get into the cross line at the age of 65 and to save enough to retire. So let's look at, what we're going to compare. So we are going to look at the leverage, how much money you need to invest in that investment. If the property gives you cash flow, meaning gives you money, right? Besides, growing and until maturity is giving you money every month or quarterly. Then appreciation, What's the chance of your money growing, right? Because that's why we're investing it. Tax benefits, do we get extra money back from taxes, and what control we have over these investments? Well, let's see. Real estate, we can buy, not always cash, right? We can take loans from the banks and or private loans, whatever loans we're going to take, and not pay cash for properties, as in VA loan, no money down, right? Physician loans, no money down. FHA loans, 3.5% down. So we can buy an investment property anywhere between 1 and 4 units up to, $1.5 million or more. If you live in states like California where the price points are higher, with only 3.5% down. Conventional loans, 5% down, and so forth. So you can control, you can take a loan from the bank anywhere between 95 to 100%, and you still get all the benefits of the investment. Now ask yourself, does that work for the stock? If I want $100 worth of stock, what do I have to pay? $100 worth of stock. What about crypto? We have to put our money, $100 worth of crypto. What about saving? Well, we need the whole $100, right, to go into saving. But if I want to buy $1 million property or $1 million worth of stock, I need $1 million. If I want to buy $1 million worth of real estate, as a veteran, I can put 0 down. Again, with an FHA loan, I can put $35,000 down. Conventional, $50,000 down if I'm on an occupant, or $200,000, $250,000 as an investor. Next is cash flow. You see, with real estate, when you buy as investments and not your own home, because there we pay the mortgage, but as investment, and if we choose the investment carefully, we can have the rental income cover all expenses and give us extra cash. That is called cash flow. Stocks, do they give us any cash flow? Sometimes they give dividends, right? Most of the dividends I've seen are in the 1 to 2% range. However, that won't do much unless we invest massive amounts of cash. Then crypto, no, zero. Savings, they're not giving us cash flow. They are saving, they're earning some interest. Then appreciation, does real estate appreciate? Absolutely, it has multiple ways of appreciating. Number 1, keeps up with inflation. Number 2, if you remodel the property, if you know how to add features and benefits, you can, of course, appreciate the property, right? Do stock appreciate? Sometimes, over a long time, yes. Now depends when you need to cash it out, like if you can catch it at the right time, but yes. Crypto, yes, but it's also highly volatile, right? We all know, probably a lot of us on the call, we've lost money on crypto. I know I did. So you need to know what to invest in. And again, you need a lot of cash to invest in. And savings, now they don't give us appreciation, they give us an interest rate. Or if you keep the money in the bank or in cash, you get nothing. And then it's actually losing value, right? Tax benefits, only real estate investment is going to give us tax benefits. Plus, when you sell real estate investment that you've held long-term over a year, you pay long-term gains, somewhere between 15 and 20% tax, versus stock where you pay earned income tax. And by the way, full disclosure here, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney. Teaching you here for educational purpose. You have to do your own research and talk to your specialist. And then crypto, no, again, no tax savings, no tax savings. Again, you were going to pay interest on the interest that we own. A tax on the interest that we own. And then control. What's our control on the investment and the growth of the investment? On real estate, 100%. I could buy this property with 0 down. And the bank give me 100% loan. I still control 100% of the property. Does that work with the stock? Elon Musk hasn't picked up my phone call. Last I called, I didn't, but you get my point here. Does crypto works? Do we have control over crypto? Absolutely not. Do we have control over savings? Yes, we do. We decide if we put in a CD, we decide if we put in the bank, what do we decide with it? However, it's the same $100 we put in the bank. So now that you see how real estate compares with other wealth building strategies, you want to think for yourself, how come most of people don't invest in real estate? We already know 95% of people don't do well. However, all the people own their own homes, because you are going to say, well, more people own their own home than stocks, crypto, savings. But remember, owning your home is not an investment. It's just a hedge against inflation, right? You occupy the property, you pay for all expenses. So again, why most people end up poor? Because number one, we learn they never learn money management. Just one of the most essential life skills, and school don't teach it. Two, number one complaint people have, they don't have enough money. They don't make enough money. So how can they save if they don't make enough money? They don't have a long-term thinking. They have a work on short-term thinking and looking at emergencies, whatever they want to live the life, compare it with the Johnsons, right? With the next door neighbor, and spending more than they make. And this is what everybody has in common, though. The people that don't have money and the people that do pretty well by the time to retire. Everybody pays for housing, right? As a tenant of the house for your home, or you pay for housing all your life. So what most of people don't understand is how to use it as a financial tool to also help them while they're paying for the housing, which is what house hacking is, right? As we defined it in the previous video. So did you ever know the 4 highest expenses in our lifetime? Probably not. And most of my seminars, I have very few hands going up. Most of people have no idea. Number 1 is income tax. And number 2, housing. Now you have to keep in mind, for people that are in very low tax brackets, their housing costs more than their tax because they're in lower tax brackets. But for most people, which are in higher tax brackets, they pay more for tax than housing. And then healthcare, and last, education. And if you think, I'm not going to college, education is not something I pay for, correct. We just learned that 95% of people cannot make it financially. So not learning, not necessarily college classes or the traditional schooling, but educate themselves on money management that cost them throughout their life, and they suffer the most towards the end of their life. So now that we understand that, we want to see what's the mindset and what's the impact of how we think about money. I like this quote from Bill Gates. It's known as Gates' Law, which I think applies perfectly to real estate. He said, we overestimate what we can do in short term and underestimate what we can achieve in long term. Because you see, most of people compare real estate. When they compare real estate with stock, they say, I can see tomorrow if my stock went up 5%. I can see about real estate, it may up 5%, went up in value 5% in a day, right? Well, again, most of people have very short-term vision of their life. They just look, I'm planning tomorrow, I'm planning next month, I'm planning next year, right? We know that every December, most people plan the next year. But how many people plan their lifetime? To say, by the time I retire, how money do I want to have? How much I want per month to survive? What would be, what my net worth should be? How am I going to live my life? I plan to live until 100 years old, 110 years old. So from 65 to 100, that's 35 years, right? Or 100, or 65 to 105, I have 4 years to live out of my savings. How I'm going to do it? Very few people have that long-term thinking, which again, that's a trap for them because they just look of, oh, I'm going to worry about the rent this year. Let's sign a lease for this year, not think long-term. But the truth is, there are a lot of challenges that we have to solve. And the biggest challenges that people have when they think about buying investment properties are saving for down payment, learning property management, because they don't know how to manage tenants or the property itself and dealing with contractors, and navigating the buying process. It really seems overwhelming, which I completely understand. As selling almost 2,000 houses, believe me, I've seen people going through the steps. But this is the thing. This cannot stop you. Most people get stopped. You have to decide for yourself. Do you want to be most people? Or do you want to use the long-term strategy, the long-term planning? Because when the long-term planning, there is consistency. over time, when you buy that investment property, the tenant will be paying the property off through paying you the rent, and you're using the rent to pay off the property. And those monthly principal payments will add up, right? That consistency of every month paying the mortgage will help the loan to go lower and lower and lower. Also, as time passes, property value keeps going up because of inflation. Now, best part, when you have an investment property, you also get tax deductions. Remember when we said the two biggest expenses in our lifetimes are taxes and housing? You see, if you house hack, you can live for free and eliminate your housing cost, or have a small cost. And as you buy more property, end up having the income of all this property paying for your house. So this way, you truly eliminate the housing cost. And then second, investment property give you tax deduction and depreciation. So out of that tax bill that you pay every year from your hard-earned income, now you can get some of that money back. And I've seen clients buying, $500,000 to $800,000 properties and getting back anywhere between, $8,000 and $12,000 back in taxes in a year. Now, again, you'll have to refer to your taxes, your CPA. Everybody's different. Their income expenses are different. However, these are massive savings. And when we don't have enough money to save, right? Like we said, the biggest problem people have is not having money left at the end of the month. Having large amounts of money coming back can count a lot. And last but not least, cash flow. You see, you get extra money after paying the expenses. That's an additional source of income. So think of this. We're getting money back in taxes. We're paying the property. Well, the tenants are paying off the property. We need little money to put down. The property fully appreciates, and we get an additional source of income. So we can see how long-term planning offsets the issue of not having monthly income, additional monthly income to save, because the real estate, it will be a forced saving. So don't estimate. What my lesson here is, do not underestimate how much wealth you can build over 10, 15, 30 years, over the pain of saving the down payment, going through the process, stabilizing the building, and finding tenants in the first year or two or three. Okay? If you imagine owning the home, imagine the benefit. I don't see how could you not want to take advantage of this. And the real impact, it's the mindset that leads to delay. I've had clients 20 years ago that said, this is not the right time. I have little kids. And I said, well, this is the right time if you have little kids, because by the time your kids will be 18 and you're ready to have to go to college, your properties will be, 20 years paid off, 2/3 paid off. And it's going to, who knows, double in value more. You can refinance that property and pay for your kids' college. What are you talking about? The property will be paid off by the time you retire. This is the right time. The time works for you when you invest in property. So the real impact is not to wait. 1 year can be a massive loss in waiting. So if you are ready and you're just not, with having the financials, the credit, think of it. Think of the long-term impact of waiting. And remember, this is what stopped 95% of people decide which group do you want to be in. So now that we understand that, let's see how to fix it, right? Let's summarize what real estate investment does compared to the people that don't invest in properties. Because what happens? Most of people struggle with with money management. They don't even want to talk about money. You probably know that money is one of the taboo words, right? So don't talk about money at the dinner table, right? It's rude. If you have too much money, it's rude. If you don't have, it's embarrassing. So let's not talk about money, right? So this taboo subject, it's stopping us from being successful. So again, why real estate investment work? It's a forced saving. It's helping us using the rent coming from the tenant to cover the mortgage and expenses, right? Month after month, loading the loan on the property. Tax advantage, we get money back. This is amazing. I mean, we get money back from taxes versus everybody else that don't invest in real estate. paying the bill, and not saving money. 3, additional income. I hear everyone wanting to make more money. And besides getting a second job, going back to school, changing jobs, working more hours, how can you get more income? Well, real estate is a way to keep increasing your cash flow. I was talking to a client today that has a 4-unit building, and he has not increased rents in a long time. And I was sharing with him how much his rents were under the market. And some unit, he had one of the units for $700 under market. I said, your tenant must love you. He's saving, $8,400 a year while you're losing it, and you have 4 units. So he was able to increase, like today, he called all tenants and increased rents at just by $1,000 a month between all 4 of them. But it was interesting. His income grew by $12,000 a year, tax offset by tax, meaning he's not paying tax on this money because of his tax deductions. How interesting. And he's still way, way, way under the market. He should have been, almost $22,000 a month between the 4. Then leverage and appreciation. We can get advantage of low down payment programs to buy real estate. So to benefit from appreciation also, right? Because like we said, a small amount of down payment will give us the benefit of all the investment appreciating. So I even give you an example. If we buy a property, a $500,000 property with 5% down, we're going to put $25,000 down payment. If the property increased in value by 5%, we just have more money in 1 year. And we know in the last 5 years, we've had much higher than 5% appreciation per year. Not that that's sustainable, but still, historically properties, go up in value about 3% a year. And like we said, every 10 years, they double in value over the last 100 years. So you can see how properties go up in value and how we can benefit. So now that we've discussed why 95% of people don't make money, how real estate investment helps the other part to be financially free by time retirement. By the way, if you buy real estate, you can be financially free way before retirement because we don't need to pay off these properties. The tax deduction and the cash flow can create a spectacular life and even be financial freedom for 5 years, 10 years. I'll show you in the future different strategies how we can accomplish that. And in the next video, we'll continue with the 3 management skills and how to finance your house, how to fund. Until then, don't forget to subscribe so you can see the rest of the series. Every video will be released on Thursdays, and reach out if you need to. Thank you very much.